So here I go. I'm really lucky. It's a beautiful morning. I left the house at 10:30. The first person I met was our lovely friendly postman who asked me where I was going. So I told him I was going to the primary care centre in Carrigaline. He looks at me curiously and he says, "Okay, you taking the car?" I said, "No, I'm taking the bus." And he said, but that's not a straight bus route. You've got to go into Douglas and then you've got to go out to Carrigaline, then you've got to go on another bus. And I said, "I know. That's why I'm doing it." And I, of course, have the singular advantage that I actually am able to walk reasonably well. There are many who'll be making this journey who won't be able to make such a pace, or who will have kids hanging off them, or who will be older than I am, and will find this journey quite a challenge. And I'm very conscious of that as I set off today. So here I am at the bus stop. There are 6 of us, I think 7 actually, waiting at the bus stop. It's due at 20 to 11-ish. So here's hoping it turns up on time. Thank you, bus. So I'm here in Douglas. I have to be honest, I knew so many people on the bus that I haven't the courage to take out the camera. It was so full that there were 7 people standing all the way in from Rochester. And it is now 11:05. Lovely trip actually. Okay, so I'm just checking the time of the bus to Carrigaline. I gather the next bus is opposite Tramway Terrace at 11:30. So I'm just going to make my way down there. Very bold, crossing at the red map. Still a lovely day. Here's the bus stop. Now, I actually didn't know the 2:20 stopped here because it doesn't show it. It's now 11:10. It's only a 5-minute walk. And there's a bus to come at 11:30. Happy to wait. 11:15. I should point out that this is a beautiful sunny day and I am sitting on a wall all by myself on the side of the road. If it were wet and I had little people with me, or I were less able, I would be in the bus shelter and I wouldn't be able to sit down because there's no seat. Here I am, 2:20 bus to Carrigaline. Blissfully, it was 5 minutes early, except it wouldn't be blissful under every circumstance. But again, a very pleasant bus driver, lovely bus driver, charged me $6.90 per time, and I asked him how much it would be if I had a child with me, and it would be $3.90 return if I had a child. That's out to the bridge in Carrigaline. So the bus left Douglas at 11:27. I left home at 10:30. This is deep country, lads. The irony of having the overpacked bus coming in from Passage West, single decker, people standing on the way in, and the double decker coming down here through deep country. It's hilarious. And to be fair, quite certain it's not like that at every time of the day. Certainly this mid-morning, it is. I'll be getting off at the bridge, so I better hop off. I should add, it's 11:45 now. 5 to 12. I'm starting to panic slightly because the bus timetable seems to indicate that the Crosshaven bus 220X doesn't come until 12:30. So again, if I had children, I'm not quite sure what I would do here. Coffee shop over there. And if it were raining and I was in any way infirm, I'd need to wait under the bus shelter, and again there's no seat. I think I might go into the coffee shop and get a cup of coffee while I'm waiting. God, this bus is rough. This is the 220X to Crosshaven. It arrived 10 minutes early. The, yet again, very pleasant bus driver said that it was fine that I would go to the industrial estate where the primary care centre is on my $6.90 ticket from Douglas to Carrigaline. So it's 12:20 now and it's 10 minutes early. Now in fairness, 12:27 when he set off. 4-minute trip. Might be worth walking back to see how long that takes. Nearly there. Thank you. Kind man letting me cross the road. No traffic lights. No pedestrian crossing. There is the vast new primary care centre. With lots and lots of car parking. The pedestrian has to walk from the front of the building to the back. It is now 12:36 and I left home at 10:30. All singing, all dancing. Primary care centre in the industrial park in the Crosshaven Road. No doubt it's a fine facility. But from Passage West, it has taken me just about 2 hours to get here. I don't have an appointment at the primary care centre, and the next bus back for me is another half-hour wait. Now I'm going to walk my way back down to the main road again, main Crosshaven Road. Here's the bus stop. Indeed, it's just as well it isn't raining. No shelter, no seat. I have a half an hour wait for the next bus. I think that's my bus. Okay, now I have to admit here now, I'm weak, right? We've pulled in on the Crosshaven bus and I watched my 220 to Douglas pulling away. So the 220 to Douglas is to leave Carrigaline Town Centre 13:05. My Crosshaven bus got into Carrigaline Town Centre at 13:06. I now have to wait until 13:35 to get the next bus to Douglas. Oh boy. So I'm here on the bridge in the main street. No seat, no bus shelter. So it's 2:55 and I'm back in Douglas. Douglas is so quiet. I think the next 223 is at 2:30. And right now it's just gone 2:55. The Lola the bus stop now. The 216 has come and gone. The 220 is gone. I'm thinking my bus is due around 2:30. So I have another 15 minutes or so to wait. Okay, so I have to admit to being just a bit tired now. It's just gone 2:30, and the bus that I'm waiting for is due now. While I've been waiting here for the half hour, so two 220s have come and gone, and a 216. There are 2 older people and 1 younger person waiting at the bus stop. 3 older people now, I think. So I hope it won't be too long before the bus comes. Yay. 14:43. I'm back in Passage West. 10 minutes home on the bus. Chatting to a lovely lady who voluntarily brought up the subject of the public health centre closing, remembering how she had gone up and down to it every day for 7 years to get stuff for her husband who was ill, and how good the public health nurses were. She doesn't see how that could ever be replaced if the public health centre moves to Carrigaline. Embarrassingly, and not recognising me, she also commented on how politicians did absolutely nothing about it. I wish people understood by the time even we know at ground-based level it's too late. I made the trip from Passage West to the new primary care centre in Carrigaline today, because that's the trip that people from Passage West are going to have to make, all 5,800 of them who need care, to the primary care centre when this public health centre here on the Beach Road closes. It took me 2 hours and 10 minutes and it cost me €11 in bus fares. Had I had a child with me, it would have cost me an additional €7.10. That's a total of about €18. A taxi is 14 or €15 each way. I have to say, I'm exhausted, and at 46 and I'm relatively able, the trip that I experienced on this fine sunny day, which I was lucky enough to have, is not anything akin to that which somebody pushing a buggy with a lively toddler, or somebody carrying a baby, or somebody less able to walk than I would have experienced, particularly in the wet. Of the 2 hours I spent travelling, 2 hours and 10 minutes, about 35 minutes of that was actually on a bus. So the remaining 1 hour and 25 minutes, excluding 10 minutes for walking, was spent waiting for bus connections. This wasn't the fault of the drivers or the buses. My experience today was that the buses were on time and the drivers were invariably incredibly pleasant. But it was the fault of the timetabling. 1 hour and 25 minutes waiting for connections at bus stops, none of which had a seat that would facilitate an older person or a person who wasn't feeling well. And let's face it, when one goes to a public health centre, one is going there because one needs care, either for oneself or one's loved one. Not a seat. 2 of them had no shelters. The one outside the primary care centre had no shelter. The one in the centre of Carrigaline had no shelter. Had I had a toddler with me or a baby and I was waiting half an hour at a bus stop for a connection, I think I would have gone insane. I've been there. I wasn't there today. Somebody else will be if this public health centre closes. The HSE in today's budget was given 14.6 billion, not million, billion. 454 million of which is for capital expenditure. And I can't get an answer to letters that I have been sending to the HSE about keeping this public health centre open or retaining even a cut down public health service facility in Passage West since last May. Not one letter have I got in response to my attempts to communicate with them. And that's 14.6 billion out of my taxpayers' money and your taxpayers' money. And we are expected to make that 2 hour and 10 minute bus trip over to the primary care centre and a further 2 hours and 10 minutes back, because this little health centre catering for 5,800 people is not being kept open. That's not good enough. And I call on the HSE to respond to us in Passage West and to work with us to service the needs of the people in this town.